Thank you all for sending your questions. For some reason, YouTube held all the comments on that video for reviews, so sorry about that. It's been almost half a decade since my last Q&A, so I thought I don't know how to start these, so I thought we should just get into it. Some of these questions aren't from the Q&A, and I just never got around to answering them, so yeah. Our first question is from Stickbot and All. Do you use a camera for your videos? Also, what type do you use? I use a Canon 60D, which released in about the late summer of 2010, so it's a bit of an older camera, but it has this aesthetic that I really like. It really pops out the wood and a lot of colors, and it really reminds me of the animations that really inspired me to start animating. The classic Stickfast and Transformers animations from the late 2000s on YouTube and early 2010s. Now, would I recommend this camera? Probably not. I don't know much about cameras, but I know that this is a much older camera, and while it is cheaper, I would probably save your money for something better. I don't know much about this except this is what I use. One of the main reasons why I use Dragon Frame is because it's one of the few stop motion softwares that actually supported this camera without modifications because it's so old. So yeah, I probably wouldn't recommend it. From Leopold Films, here are the three questions. If you had to guess how much is your Stickbot collection worth, what is one Stickbot item you really want? And lastly, if you try to make an off the grid prequel, will it be based on the original idea for it? Alright, starting with the first question, how much do you think it's worth? So I'm gonna first completely take out the off the grid stuff because I really don't know, and it really depends on how much it's worth at what time and stuff. So yeah, for my collection, besides that, I would say the amount that I have put into it and the specific products that I've gotten, such as the Dangler or the rare only 3,000 products made advent calendar, which was publicly available, so we do need to find out like the real price of those. But that, along with the stick bots that have been sent by Zing and my small status as a creator in this community, I would put it maybe 500, 400, 500. But I don't know if people would really be willing to pay that. That's a big thing with this. A lot of stuff, especially with the slideshow, is it is actually worth a lot, and people used to pay more for it. Stick bots. I mean, people paid $25 for sealed stick bots like a couple years ago. But yeah, I don't know. It really depends how much you guys value it, I guess. So yeah, let me. I would like to know. I'm curious about your guys' opinion on that. On to the second question. What is one stickbot item you really want? I would probably have to go with the sticky products. If you don't know, these were basically Latin exclusive like products where they produced like these tripods and charger bricks for like these lights that would power like lights for making stop motions. They look fake, but they are very real. And yeah, they were only available in some stores that were mainly in Mexico, and that's kind of about all we know. It lasted for about a year and is a super limited product. While these probably are just generic, like, chargers and lights, I would love to do a review on them, and I think it'd be really fun. And the last question is, if I do try to make the Off the Grid prequel, would it be based on the original idea? The short answer is yes. I have started messing around with the script, and there is a lot you could do with it. The original was supposed to be about the Great Stickbot War, which is something that is almost like a joke in the original Stickbot lore. It is not brought up that much now, but it was like constantly brought up to my knowledge from back then. They always talk about the Great Stickbot War, the Great Stickbot War, and this movie was supposed to be about the Great Stickbot War and how Stryker fought in it and all this stuff. And Moonshine went into detail in some interviews, but uh, yeah, I think it'd have to be about that, and I think it would have to not only satisfy Off the Grid, but because it's talked about in so much lore, it would have to satisfy the other shows too, if that makes sense. And I think that would be really hard to pull off. And similar to Defenders 4, I feel it would not be possible unless the entire community came together to work on it. and that's kind of the only way I can see it being done. So, if I have free time, sure. What is your rarest stick bot? And I swear someone asked me what is my most expensive stick bot, but I can't find the screenshot. While rare and expensive are not always two that go together, I feel in this situation they do. Okay, I'm going to start with the off-the-grid figures first, because those are probably the rarest. There are 3 main bronze stick bots, however, only 2 ever publicly came out. The first was the original metal bronze. This stickbot used to be quite common, but around 2019 when Stickbot and Zing were losing a lot of money, they switched to a different kind of plastic, which was cheaper and looked quite bad, which this is the version that we have today. If you order a bronze stickbot from Amazon or the Zing store, you will get this version. But before that, there was a prototype bronze stickbot that was made, and it was used for off the grid. 8 were given to Moonshine, and I have these 8. Now, here's the thing. These are prototypes, and there are 8 of them. However, there may be an even rarer prototype in this lot of off-the-grid figures. 3 or 4 versions of Pixel exist. However, for simplicity's sake, let's just say that there's late 2015 and 2016. Late 2015 is also a prototype. Moonshine only needed a couple versions of Pixel, so there is only 1 or 2 of these. The only other owner besides maybe Stickbot owning one of these is Animation Eddie with Pink from Stickbot Live. So while Striker is probably a little less rare than Pixel, he may be more valuable because he's the main character and what people think of. But Pixel's probably more rare. So, as of the Off the Grid collection, I'm going to say that Pixel is the rarest. However, if this collection were to be sold, I think Striker would probably go for more, unless this fact became a lot more known, if that makes sense. Now, as for my personal collection, I actually don't have that much really rare stuff. I mean, I have the danglers, but those aren't really rare. You can kind of buy them on eBay for 15 bucks. So, I'd probably have to go with these guys, temporarily. The Ukraine pack, which is actually what these mini bots are from, is going to release in about, September or December or something. So they probably won't be that rare for too long. But I don't know about the stick bots that came in this pack from Zing. These may release, these may not release, who knows. These, I don't know. I hope they release, but if they don't release, then I hope we get more colors like that. So, yeah. The last tip I want to add is this Super Crack Suction Cup, original, not in the glow in the dark. Maybe it needs a new name. But, yeah, I really like this stick bot, and I think it's one of the more underrated colors, and it only released in 2018 or 2017, I think. And this is one of the stick bots that sold sealed multiple times for $25. So, this was one that definitely kind of held its value, if you will, I think. And it's definitely underrated. LucasStickbot22 asks, what is your favorite video that you've made? You're in it. It is Molotov, probably. I have gone through different ones over the years. Sometimes it was a Transformers animation, but I'd probably have to go with Molotov. I had it as the idea almost an entire year before I actually made it. And while it is definitely not one of my best animations in terms of quality, I think the punchline's pretty good, and I really like this character. I definitely plan to use more of him in the future, and he is one of the, he's probably one of my favorite customs I've created in the recent years. And I do plan to have a Molotov too, and maybe we get to see more of Molotov Man. And, oh god, I forgot the sidekick's name. Casual, this video should answer your question. To answer the question from the All Real Motion Studios that has been burning on our mind for thousands of years, why? The answer is always 42. Now for the second question. All jokes aside, here's the question. How long have you been using stick bots or stop motion, and what inspired you to do that? A lot of people don't know this, but I did do a lot of action figure and Lego stop motion before clay film. But I really got into stick bots in 2015 watching all the videos. However, it wasn't until 2016 that I actually got some of the figures. And I really liked them. I got the green screen set, but I didn't know how to use the app because I thought the photo button was actually the movie button, and the movie button was the photo button because it confused me for some reason. And so I went back to Stop Motion Studio, which I was already using. I don't know why I switched. And yeah, that's kind of it. I'll probably explain the video one day in a longer video, but for now, yeah. And for what inspired me in the 2010s and stuff, there were a lot of those old classic animations that I was kind of talking about previously. And yeah, that was probably my main inspiration for all this, and that eventually carried over to Stickbots and stuff. SNEO Productions, I think you should update the iceberg because so many things happened since 2021. You are very correct. 2022 and 2023 have been monumental years. Not only, also 2021 because that video was made in like the first half. Anyway, yes, we definitely need to update it. We worked a little bit on it in 2022, but the main reason why I haven't actually made an iceberg part 2 is because I realized I could just take one of the ideas from the iceberg and then make that its own video, and it would be like pretty high quality, and I would get to talk about it longer, and I don't have to skim over it or something, because so many of those concepts like could be literally like an hour long video. I wouldn't probably make it an hour long video, but you get my point. That's the main reason for the delay. But if you guys really want it, there will probably be a day that Oddities 2 will come out. Tussle Films asks, what was the first video you worked on outside your channels? This is a hard one, but I would probably have to go sometime in 2017 or 2018. I actually made some skits with my friend, similar to Smosh. However, this is not what I would count. Before Clay Film and during it, I worked on many projects outside of Stickbot, stop motion, and stuff. I actually wrote a lot of live action scripts for movies, and while only a couple shots were made for them, those deserve a full video on themselves. But yeah, I would probably go with I worked on a lot of live action scripts and a lot of scripts like that in general, so I'd say those are probably what I'd go with. From Noob Retro 7487. Hey Clay, I have a few questions. How many stickbots do you have? Can you show us the rest of the stickbots that you got in the off the grid lot? And are you going to make Stickbot Week 7? For the first question, how many stickbots do you have? I have a lot. I wish I still had the photo, but I took a photo in, I think, maybe early 2022, maybe 2021, where I laid out a bunch, not all, but a lot of stickbots I had, and I think I counted about 300, 200, 300. But that wasn't all the stickbots. That wasn't including off the grid or the. I store a lot of stickbots, like ones I use a lot on shelves. So yeah, counting those, I probably have to go with maybe a little over 300, which is a lot. I do need to count them though. I am working with Motion on this organization thing for stickbots, and that will probably give an answer, better answer sooner. Okay, there's one more thing I wanted to add, which was there's this animation that French Bacon did, which I really recommend, which is where it's like this. It shows all his stickbots like color coordinated, I think, and it's like to this song, and it's like every beat is a new color, and I really want to do that with mine, so I'll see. But that's probably how I would actually show them off. For the second question about the part 2 for the off the grid lot, I would really want to do it, uh, but I would feel kind of bad for milking it. It's been like a year since I did it, and I do really need to organize them. So, what I was just saying about the thing that Motion is designing is it's kind of like this thing that I don't want to spoil much, but it's going to help organize stickbots and stuff in a more evenly way, you could say. And once I get that, if it all works out, then I probably will do a part 2. And for the last question, am I going to make a Stickbot Week Part 7? Yes. I mainly pump them out when I need a video to come out and I'm working on something, or I just need a video to come out or something. So we'll see. But one of the parts I kind of underestimate about Stickbot Week is I'll get all these ideas and then I'll forget them. So that's probably the main delay, but there should be a 7th one coming out soon. What is it like working on the Stickbot slideshow? I've heard it can be a bit of chaos sometimes. It's not too bad. I think the chaos is a bit more of a hype, if that makes sense. There are some points when it's like we're like waiting for the next word. There were a lot of times, especially a little bit ago, when we were talking to a lot of people from different countries and speaking different languages. So we had to translate a lot of stuff. So it was very much like waiting till the next word to see what they're gonna say. And it's so fun learning about all this history and stuff because it is like insane. And I always think, oh, we're almost done with all the stickbots we've put on here. But no, we are not. There are always more than I think. But it's always very fun. It can be a bit there's a lot of it, but I think that's also the enjoyment of it. With something like Legos, I always tried to get into the community, but it was always a bit too big, if that makes sense. But I like, Stickbots because it feels like there's so much more to be discovered, if that makes sense. Great minds think alike, and for our last question from Lego Stickbot 22, what is your favorite Stickbot in your collection? For customized Stickbots, I would probably have to go with my OC. And a lot of people have asked me what his name is. It is Harry or Clay. It kind of changes. If you watch Lost Dimensions 3, then you'll see that he calls him Harry. But yeah, that those are the names if you're wondering. But yeah, I for standard like non-customized stickbots, if you will, uh I do not know. Uh I It would be very hard to pick, but for my favorite stickbot color, orange is definitely up there. Um but no, no, no. I'm gonna go with solid green and orange. I think though that's ironically that's the color scheme of this character that I'm playing in games. So I don't know if that's influencing anything, but yeah. But with that being said, thank you all for commenting and stuff. Thank you for this Q&A. Thank you for everything. You guys are the reason why I do this, and it is very epic. So yeah, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. And if you have any more questions, comment them. I'll answer them. Okay, bye.